Hi everyone, I'm Carl and I hope you're doing great. In this video I will be turning the sawdust into flock to use on miniature bases and terrain. Before we start though, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. As I record this, we're close to wrapping up 2020, but I don't know when you will watch this, so I'll just wish you a happy year in general, whenever you are. Right, to begin with, we're going to need sawdust and a container with some water in it. You'll want just enough to cover your sawdust, but not too much, or you'll end up diluting the paint to the point that it doesn't stain very well. I usually aim for about 1.5 times the volume of the sawdust in water. Next, let's dump some acrylic paint in the water and stir it up until it dissolves completely. Here I'm using summer green from Master, but any soluble paint should work. After a few minutes, we can start dumping some sawdust in, little by little, and stirring it in. Don't dump the whole lot in at once. What I'm using here is pine sawdust from some woodworking projects I was working on recently, but you can use any kind, as long as you're sure it's non-toxic and you're not allergic to it. Avoid any MDF or particle board sawdust or stuff from chemically treated wood. If you're not certain, don't use it. Sawdust is easy enough to obtain, so there's no point in taking any risks. After stirring it for a while, let's leave it to sit for about 10 minutes, and then sieve it out to see what it looks like. This is a sieve I use for crafts. You don't want to use one you normally use for food preparation. The flock I had at this point was a bit yellow, so I added in some more green to the water and gave it another spin. Don't be afraid to mix colors and experiment. You can repeat this as often as you need to get the color you want, and I prefer doing it this way instead of dumping in way too much paint at the beginning, as that way you can easily end up with hard clumps which are of no use. Okay, after the second round the color looks about right. At this point, I usually lay the stuff out on a baking sheet and leave to dry in the sun. But today I decided to bake it in my oven instead. I usually don't like to do this, but it's winter, so it would take way too long. On the Crazy Crafters livestream last week, Tina Martin suggested that I give the oven a shot, and what could possibly go wrong? I will not show you this step as the Lovecraftian horrors living in my kitchen don't like being filmed, so here are some helpful graphics and disclaimers instead. Remember that you are responsible for your own safety, and as usual, I am not. I am not responsible for anything in general, and very specifically not responsible for anything that can happen while you're following the material from my videos. In fact, maybe like the video and subscribe to the channel before you try anything, just in case. I baked the flock at 110 degrees centigrade for about 40 minutes and kept an eye on it while it was in the oven. This temperature seems to be fine for acrylic paint, but if you're using anything else, be sure to consult the material datasheet and adjust accordingly. In any case, do not try to cook this and dinner at the same time. Every 10 minutes or so, I took the dish out, broke up any clumps and moved it around so it dried evenly. If you let it dry in the sun, you should still do this about once a day. We're nearly done. Once we've let the whole thing cool off, we're going to run it through a sieve to remove the largest bits. If you wanted to, you could run this through different sieves and split up your coarse, fine and superfine flock, but this is usually enough for me. I'll even keep the larger bits for a rough ground effect. And that's some flock done and ready to see me through the next few weeks of crafting. Of course, you don't need to stick to green. You can work with any color, like this pink flock I made for my weirwood tree last year. You can also mix flocks together to create blends, which usually look a lot more realistic. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you found something here that will be useful to you. I'll be back in a few more days with more content, so I hope I'll see you around then. In the meantime, stay safe, have fun, and have a great week.